Hello and welcome back to London Invite 2024. Straight into the action here as we see Australia mixed with the deep goal, taking on Deep Space, the reigning world silver medalists taking on the reigning European club gold medalists. You're joined by myself, Connor McHale, and the ultimate encyclopedia himself, Tom Abrams. How are we doing, Tom?
Hey, Connor. Yeah, good to be here. An exciting start to the game. I don't know how much you guys saw online. A couple of turnovers each way, and Barramundi's putting the deep goal in for the first hold, I believe.
Yeah, Barramundi's hold to start. Wind is coming on your screen left to right, so it is a little bit downwind there for that deep shot. But yeah, a couple of turns to get things started. Sure to be an exciting game.
So we've got the Deep Space O-line coming out. I think they've been mixing up their lines a bit this year, so we'll see what it looks like through the game. But
yeah, Deep Space starting the year at Spring Invite, rotating through two or three different lines. Then going on to Elite Invite and doing a similar thing with a couple of called lines here and there. UK Regionals recently took the win over Reading Ultimate after a huge comeback there. And now London Invite going up against the national teams in preparation for the World Championships. As we see Max Squires in the middle of the field, finding Ian Tate. Looking deep to Jack Halkyard. Looks like there must have been a bit of a miscommunication there. Completely free for the Deep Space hold.
Yeah, Deep Space there able to take advantage of the poach set the Barramundis were looking to put in place. Some big field movements and getting between the kind of brackets that Australia had got set up, and that was what allowed Jack Halkyard to break free.
Yeah, it's one of the more difficult things to be able to put in place in the mixed division, finding those brackets between the two gender matches. Difficult, much harder to simply just switch on a deep shot if you know that you're then going to be matching up on a different gender. Some teams preferring to simply stay match to not allow that to happen. But yeah, Deep Space able to take advantage. Ian Tate usually receiving the deep shots, so nice to see him taking on that inside backhand perfectly weighted to Halkyard. Barramundi's coming out on offense. You see 4 male matching players on this line. Looking like they're coming out in a horizontal set. Nice fake on the inside. Sold me. We'll do our best to get you some names of the Barramundi players, but no numbers on here from what we can see, so we'll do our best where we can. A really nice touchy flick to the end zone, and I know that name. Missing from our sheet, but Elliot of Deep Space fame, usually got the recent call up to Australia mixed. One of Australia's key handlers, able to go deep from the shallow space there. After a back and forth 0.1, 2 very nice clean holds for Deep Space and Australia.
Yeah, Australia, they're able to work against Deep Space's FM mark really effectively and take advantage of the switch to the one-way force, and that's when Elliot was able to break free for that deep goal. That would have been a backhand mark for the rest of the point at that point in the field, and they switched to match, one-way match at that point, and that was when the flick huck was available.
Yeah, really nice touchy throw. That wind, as I mentioned, kind of coming cross field and left to right. So to sit that out on the wind with that amount of touch, no easy feat. So really, really nicely done. Takes the score to 2-1. All holds so far. Deep Space, still a long ways to go until the peak of their season, but UK Nationals coming up very soon. They're going to look to try and retain their UK National title that they got for the first time last year. And then a couple of months after that, they will be back, I expect, at Europeans trying to retain that European gold as well. The Barramundis, in the meantime, couple of tournaments, I think, between now and Worlds. Going to be on their home soil in Brisbane later on in the year at the end of August. As we see Mike Squires hitting Halkyard in the middle of the field. Nice continuation to the other Halkyard, and just not able to complete on the sideline pass to Naden.
That was a nice pull play by Deep Space, isolating the space in the middle of the field for Jack Halkyard, and they managed to make it all the way up almost to the end zone before that unfortunate drop.
Yeah, it looks like we have a foul call in the middle of the field. I think maybe just a little bit of a push off or a stand on the foot, something like that. Chance for the Australia break. Nice continuation to the far side of the field. What a great bid on the far sideline. I think that was Halkyard. And the other Halkyard able to come through and get the D. Great tempo from Deep Space. After this turnover, we see Squires just popping one over the top to Alvaro Itamendi for the Deep Space hold.
It's interesting to see the stylistic differences between this team as we get a couple of points into the game. Australia really playing big space offense, isolating players in a lot of space. On the other side of the field, Deep Space are playing with a kind of bit more tempo and small space movement, and that's allowing them to kind of get around the Australian defense. So we'll see how this plays out through the game. Yeah,
and a really good heads-up poach block from Jack Halkyard on that far sideline. Really quite common as a handler to lock in on that reset, see them go up line, see them be free, and think, well, it's got to go. Jack Halkyard doing a great job of sneaking his way into that reset space for a nice clean block to get the disc back for Deep Space. Yeah, some really high tempo offense after the turn. Nice little pop over the top from Squires. Look like it's going to be a pretty close game. Deep Space just back from Windmill, similar to the Australians. The Barramundis taking 6th, and Deep Space going with a slightly more restricted roster because they had a number of players playing for GB Women. So based on those results, this game maybe not as close as it's showing so far, but this basically full strength Deep Space squad are showing some good stuff so far, as we see some nice quick tempo from the Barramundis. Looking like they may be playing a dominator set, but a great block from Duncan Tarrant, able to squeeze in and stop that flow. Duncan Rowe, I apologize.
Both teams right now struggling to make flow around their handler spaces, and there's a deep shot by Deep Space. It's hanging up a little bit.
That's a great read from Duncan Rowe, coming down for the double happiness. That is a Deep Space break. First blood between Australia and Deep Space.
Really important moment in the game here. Australia going back to play offense. These are the points that make and break games. Are they able to kind of put a clean hold in now, get back onto playing defense and look to get back in the game? So we'll see how they respond.
Yeah, 100%. And it can be a little daunting being on that slightly upwind end zone now, heading down there, having just been broken, to then feel the wind in your face. Can be a little unnerving. So we'll see how the Barramundis respond. I expect with ease and class from what we've seen so far, but really good block in the middle of the field from Duncan Rowe. Seeing a lot of teams utilizing that fast handler movement type of offense at the moment. Very reminiscent of Colombia, of Bruce Squad and Lev Kovalchuk leading that offense there. Really difficult to defend, so Duncan Rowe doing a great job of reading that play, being underneath his mark and getting the block, and then boxing out really well at the other end for the goal. See Ian Tate on pulling duty this point. And the Barramundi is coming out in a split stack, isolating on this near sideline. Deep Space doing a really good job of really sitting under when they notice that their receiver is a little too deep. Making things really difficult, but Barramundi's patient, finding a really nice shot to the middle of the field.
Another almost block there in the middle of the field. Deep Space are putting their handler marks out into the space ahead of the disc, and that's causing a lot of pressure and near blocks. I think the block from Tarrant a couple of points ago, similar thing. So we'll see how that looks through the game. Yeah,
John Saville nearly taking that block in the middle of the field, just recognizing that his player was being a little inactive. As you see the Mondays shooting to the end zone, just a little too much wind underneath that one, and another break chance for Deep Space. Just an unfortunate drop from, I think, Ali Thomas on that up line. And Barramundi's no messing around on putting that one in. Unfortunate from Deep Space. Chance to go 4-2 up. I don't know whether it's a bit of a miscommunication or just an unfortunate block. This just fumbling out of Ali Thomas's hands. And a really nice around break. Similar throw to what was attempted from the turnover in the first place. Just leading out into space for the upwind hold. And now Deep Space find themselves in the situation that we just talked about. Australia holds, head down to the other sideline. Bit of breeze in your face on the O-line for the first time.
Looks like a lot of the same O-line coming out for Deep Space. I'd expect to see that through the game. So as Connor's saying, playing in different wind direction, see how the spaces change for them to be able to attack and what throws they're able to take on.
Yeah, that downwind offense really lending itself to that quick, high tempo style when you've got a little bit more of a buffer, I think it's fair to say, on those downwind shots, just knowing they're going to be hitting the chest. Wind giving you a bit of a help. These upwinds got to take that extra half second just to make sure. As you see, Ben Powley, formerly of GB under 24s himself, now stationed out in Australia with the Barramundis with the pull. And a really nice throw across to Haukyard from Naden. And a fantastic poach block from Elliott. Just able to read the play. And Barramundis wasting no time getting some yards upfield for the break chance.
A lot of pressure here on defense. Barramundis are keeping the disc well. Both teams actually on defense are able to, as we see the goal on the break side.
A delightful backhand down that sideline. To the man we mentioned before, Ben Powley. Just tiptoeing the line, just making sure he doesn't take that out of bounds. Really nice throw. And that's that benefit of just being patient. As you said, Tom, not gaining an awful lot of yards in the first few throws after that turnover. I think they were maybe only 5-10 yards ahead of where they'd actually got the turn. But that patience allowing them to find the right option just gives them the shoulder shimmy, and that's a really, really well executed throw on that sideline.
In that point, we also saw another poach block, so both teams at the moment on defense are finding the way to help off their person and get into dangerous throwing lanes, and at the moment the throwers aren't quite able to spot that in time. So hopefully both teams will recognize that, make some adjustments, and we'll see how the defense and offense react.
Yeah, and you mentioned spotting it in time. It's definitely a skill to be able to go and time those poach blocks in a way that makes it really difficult to be spotted. Just hanging around and poaching in the lane, you're gonna be seen by these handlers. So jumping in at the last second, like we saw, makes it really difficult to scan and to spot that poach block. And both teams doing it to great effect so far. No out-and-out blocks on unders as of yet, or on any deep shots. Some really, really well-timed tactical poach blocks from both sides. So that is Australia back on serve. 1 break apiece. Deep space going to want to come out and put this one in nice and easy. Australia taking the time a little bit on the line. Let's see if Deep space asks them to just hurry things up just a smidge. But great chance for a bit of a momentum builder if Deep space aren't able to put this one in. That would take Australia 2 up with the downwind as well. Really important point for the UK champions.
Ball comes in, Deep space looking out of a vertical offense, quickly into spread as they recognise Australia's zone.
Yeah, and a really front-heavy zone here from Australia. There are 6 Barramundi players, all within 15 meters or so of the disc. Deep space going to need to try and recognise that and get it wide. But Amy van Zyl poach blocked on the mark, and short field turn for Australia. Doing a really good job of hitting that break side, inside flick. And Australia put it in for the break. As I mentioned, 5-3 upwind break, heading out on D with the downwind.
A couple of break side throws into this left corner as we look at it, and it's really clear Australia are looking to attack the break side when they score or attempt to score in the end zone.
Yeah, and as a defender, I'm probably pretty happy allowing Australia to keep attempting those around backhand breaks into this wind. But it's going to start to reach a point where when they keep executing them as they're doing so far, as we see here on the replay, that you're going to have to simply get tighter on the mark, because that inside shot in this wind, a much nicer throw. As we see a quick jab to the break side, nice inside flick, basically on the open side, as Max Squires tries to take away that backhand around. Australia take the lead 5-3.
Real swing in momentum in this game. Deep space actually drew first blood with their break, and Australia have roared back into the game, and they've taken the lead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Deep space respond after that. 6-3 is a very, very different sounding scoreline to 5-4. Barramundi's going to want to try and take advantage, continue this momentum. As we see a bit of lawn darts from the Australia puller.
Looking at a vert stack again for Deep space. Interesting to see if Australia go with that zone again, but it looks like at the moment they're playing something pretty matchy. We'll wait and see as the disc comes in.
Yeah, always an interesting topic of whether you try and disguise those zone sets to disrupt the offense, or whether you're happy to just let them know what's going on. Looks like Deep space coming out of a female matching dominator set. We see Kate Gibson at the back with Rachel Naden. Behind Stephen Millard, and the deep shot looking, but not able to complete. And as we mentioned earlier, that downwind high tempo offense now for Australia, but happy to just swing it so far. Great pickup in the middle from Bex Palmer, who some of you may recognize as a Reading Ultimate and GB Ultimate stalwart from days past. Similar to Powley, has been stationed out in Australia, now representing the Barramundis. Fantastic pickup in the middle of the field. And the aforementioned Powley dictating at the back at the moment. Nice inside. And Barramundis for the break. And that little inside slip pass, just allowing the momentum to carry on to that break side. Barramundis put it in 6-3.
I think that was Mish Phillips there with the D on the deep shot, and then also scoring the goal.
As we see that replay of Bex Palmer, fantastic pickup in the middle of the field. And Phil Sandwell just caught looking a little bit on the around. That's a really nice Backhand to the end zone. Nice and easy. Can't really ask for much more than that from the D-line offense.
The Barramundi D-line offense, they're doing a great job to absorb some pressure from the deep space D. That can be quite tough as that D-line offense. You haven't had the disc for a while, you've worked really hard to get it. And they stayed patient for a couple passes, swung the disc maybe 3 or 4 times across the field. At that point they got into their offense and they were able to work their way up the field and in the end score the easy goal in the break side.
Yeah, that deep shot looking for Janso. That upwind roll curve backhand, so difficult to get that out in front into space. It's a long ways to go. As we see the Barramundis with the upwind pull. Squires around to Itamendi. Sarah Halkyard is very, very deep at the moment, and that is a tough shot down the sideline, looking for Van Zyl, but Alvaro not able to complete. Chance for Barramundis to take a 4-point lead, 7-3 if they can put this in.
So we saw deep space able to put on quite a lot of pressure in the first few passes on the Barramundis D-line offense in the last point. Let's see what they're able to do here.
Yeah, coming out in a pretty traditional 2-5, but angled away from the end zone. Makes it much more difficult to poach. Barramundis losing yards, but hitting the break side well. Really nice counter space reset from Barramundis, straight away, shoots to the end zone. Yeah, it looks like they're giving that as a goal. And that's the benefit of that break side movement, is that the play shifts, the players move, they adjust, they go and try and take away the break side, and you hit a huge gainer on the open side to a completely free reset. And Australia are able to take advantage and then continue into the end zone. As we see Layla Dennison flash into the middle there to stop the break side. And just massive yards on the open side for the Barramundis.
Really good recognition by the Barramundis handler to spot Layla Dennison going for that poach. That poach has been effective early in this game for both teams. Handler recognised the poach and was able to get it to the poach player, and the next pass was a goal.
And not only that, the receiver keeping their head up, knowing that they were free, and just gesturing just a little bit just to know that the receiver could hit them, that the thrower could hit them rather. And that's a 7-3 lead for Australia. Deep space coming into this game with 1 loss so far, but it was a close 12-10 game versus the GB mixed national team. So maybe hoping for a little bit of a better start than this as of so far.
Deep spaced out on offense in the vertical stack again. Quickly into some kind of spread offense. Australia have got some poachers around the disc. No, just a lot of deep space players around the disc, and deep space have broken out and got quite a lot of space for their handle now. Powley doing a good job to contain, but then an excellent break by Max Squires and looking to get it immediately back into the centre, but Powley shut that down. Upfield break.
That's a great poach D up the sideline. As we mentioned, you see that player going up line, you see them free, you think it's got to go, and great recognition from the Barramundis defender to see that go and get in the way. It would have been a tough catch for Squires on that sideline anyway. A little bit too much sit, not quite enough roll. A chance for Barramundis to take half on the UK champs. That's a great grab. Itamendi just flashing in the lane just a little bit. I think he caught the Team Australia player off guard just a little. Looking for that, as we mentioned before, that poach block. Does a great job of recognizing that he's not going to have a play and pulling out of that. But good decision just to stop things, settle everyone down just a little. Maybe just a little shaken from the play. I think that's a great thing for the Barramundis. As we see a shot to the end zone, Wynn's going to push that over towards the bag, and well read. Excellent work from probably not the intended receiver, but I think that's Ben Powley reading the play, going picking that up for the Australia break. 8-3. And I think that's 4-5 on the bounce for Australia. Deep space reeling at the moment.
Yeah, Australia really taking control of this game. It still feels close watching it, but the scoreboard tells a different story. Layla Denniston making a nice play to get on the back of Elliott, who's looking for a second deep goal of the game, but really well cleaned up at the back of the end zone by the Barramundis.
Yeah, Layla did a great job to take position on that inside shoulder, knowing that the disc was going to carry over with that wind. But Ben Powley from the far side of the end zone, spotting that he maybe had a sniff, and ends up with a snaffle. 8-3, Australia deep space. We'll take a quick break, and we'll join you in the second half. See you soon.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you.
Nova School Electric, become a member.
In after 3, 1, 2, 3, if you're on the sideline, I want you holding it on.
Okay, we're back for the second half of Australia versus Deep Space. Half time, hopefully an opportunity for Deep Space to reset, get themselves back into the game. They've just had a tough run. They're going to be playing offense, I believe, from the upwind end zone. That was where they started. They were able to have a good start to the game, so if they can reset mentally, get a point back on the board, get their D-line out, gets them a chance to get back into the game.
Yeah, they're going to be glad that they started on D with this scoreline currently. Chance to go 8-4 if they can get this hold. I think it's probably fair to say pretty do-or-die moment for the Deep Space O-line. 8-4, chance to bring a bit of momentum back if they can get a couple of breaks and bring it within a couple. 9-3 is pretty insurmountable usually. So
it's been a very swingy game so far. I think more breaks than holds. And so if Deep Space can get their defense back out, they could go on a run of their own and get back into the game.
yeah, and it's also shown the class of the D-line offense so far that only 30 minutes of the game gone. Not even half of our allotted time gone so far. Not an awful lot of turns from either D-line, actually, when they've managed to get the disc. The Barramundis, pretty sure 100% conversion so far when they've had the chance after that first point at least. So they're going to look to continue that flow and continue that execution. As we see them preparing to pull. London Invite a Wiftuf event, so we are on the gender pulling rules. So whichever of the two gender matches has 4 players on the field, they will be the allocated puller. As we see Halkyard receive in the middle of the field and immediately swing to Naden. Barramundis again coming out with that fairly forward-heavy zone look. Halkyard and Squires doing a good job of gaining the disc upfield quickly though. Finds Dennison, the lefty. Happy to lose yards, but swinging the disc nicely. And Barramundis are going to be pretty pleased with this so far, pushing the handlers back after that quick bit of movement. Deep space just slowing things down a little bit when I think, actually, Tom, they want to be upping the tempo.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, just missed that throw there. Trying to up the tempo. We'll see what Australia have got coming out, looking for the break straight out of half.
Yeah, as we mentioned, pretty do or die moment now for Deep Space's O-line. Have actually changed the force, gone backhand. See Halkyard with that tight force. As we see that flick go up, and great D from Itamendi. That change of force working pretty well for the Deep Space O-line.
Let's see if Deep Space are able to find a bit more tempo here. The Barramundis had a lot of luck with, the deep shot's gone up. Elliot's able to get the block on his club teammates there.
Yeah, Naden looking for both Halkyard and Van Zyl in the deep space. But yeah, good read from the Barramundis defenders. We see a deep shot the other way. Itamendi going for a second block of the point, but Pauli not quite able to bring that one down.
Tough throw on there for both the receiver and the defender. This was kind of above their heads, and it was hard for them to read. Deep Space have got another chance to go downwind. We saw earlier in the point that the Australian zone, not quite sure if it's a full zone or if it's matched downfield, able to push the handlers back quite successfully. Deep Space struggling to get the disc around that or through that. So we'll see if they're able to create some spaces and holes in that zone.
Yeah, they're really front loading at the moment. You can see, again, 6 Barramundi players all within pretty close proximity of the disc, making it really difficult to attack the middle of the field. Deep Space going for the around route instead. And Dennison taking advantage of the left-handedness, which in the zone is going to prove very useful. It looks like Max Squire is giving the Barramundi a quick bop on the head, I think, on the way through. Quick discussion.
What's working really well here for the Barramundis is having a couple of players up ahead of the disc and taking away the attacking spaces for the Deep Space handlers. And Deep Space is struggling to create motion. They've just gone for a really big hammer across the field to Naden. Naden with a fake downfield. Deep Space have got some momentum here. Naden and Denniston working together.
And both of them threatening that immediate gaining yard continuation, which is allowing those quick pops through instead. We see Layla shooting towards the far sideline. Yeah, looks like that was good. Finds Halkyard for a good toe of the line. Quick pop through. Deep Space hold 8-4.
Deep Space going to be really pleased to get that point on the board. It wasn't the cleanest point, but at this point, it's just a case of scoring, getting their D-line out, giving them a chance to get them back in the game. Really nice score in the end from Deep Space. They opened up the field with a big overhead and then moved the disc across the field quickly, and the Barramundis weren't able to keep up with them on the far side of the field.
Yeah, good end zone hold from the O-line. They switched up the force, decided to go backhand, take away that around backhand that we mentioned earlier that has been so effective for the Barramundis so far. And it made that open side backhand into the wind a little more difficult. You can commit a little bit more to taking away that that open side shot, and suddenly you're having to break the mark downwind.
Really interesting point in the game this. The Barramundis O-line hasn't played for a long time, and the Deep Space D-line haven't played for a long time, so we'll see how both teams come out and look to play having not played for a while.
Yeah, the Barramundis went 4 on the bounce, I think it was, before half. So see Yenso with a great bid on the under. Oh, see the hammer over the top. That is delightful, especially with the pressure on the defense, the bid on the hip from Jan. And still able to absorb that, go and get another bounce into the middle of the field, and the perfectly executed hammer over the top. The utmost confidence to pop that one over, and those cobwebs maybe from not playing into the second half, maybe not quite as prominent as we thought they might be.
They made that hammer look really easy. I can promise you it's not as easy as it looks. Really well executed there.
Yeah, really easy with that downwind to maybe put a little bit too much mustard on that one, but puts the perfect amount, sits it out into space. And really easy when you have a defender like so, super tight, throwing themselves around, really close on that underbid. Really easy to kind of just get yourself out of the space or maybe be a bit flustered, but absolutely no problem there whatsoever for the Barramundi handler. That quick tempo downwind working really well. The gap stays at 5. Nice pull from the Barramundis. See Max Squires receiving.
Great pull coverage by the Australians there, able to prevent the first pass, and in fact Max still looking to get the disc off for the first pass.
Yeah, I think Squires probably needs to hit one of those early options. The high tempo is what's been working really well for deep spaces. We've seen Naden throw a lovely backhand lead down the line. Finds Van Zyl. Back to Itamendi. Nice read from Squires. Hits the open side to a very free Halkyard. Looks like there was a pick in the stack ahead of time. But you mentioned earlier, Tom, beating that zone was moving from sideline to sideline, and we see that again here from deep space. Even though they lost yards on those resets, Halkyard, big gaining pass on this sideline despite the pick.
Yeah, interesting. Australia have come out in a much matchier look this point. See what, oh, Max Squires takes a shot deep to Rachel Naden. She's read it really well. Great reception by Naden there.
Agreed. Really great read from Naden. Notices that it's just going to pop up a little higher in that wind. Reads it really well. High difficulty throw from Squires, well executed. And yeah, maybe a case of trying out some new stuff for the Barramundis ahead of their games later in the tournament and ahead of Worlds. Got a bit of a buffer, maybe a chance to try some things out. They know that that poachy zony defense is working well for them so far. Why not try some match as well? I think it's worth mentioning that read from Naden in this wind. We've seen a lot of turnovers so far on stream and on the other field so far, where usually you're attacking that disc at a high point, you see it coming in, you're trying to take position. Some of the best receivers doing a great job of knowing that the disc is going to carry over in that direction a little bit more. So we see Paoli receiving the disc on offense this time, so we are seeing a bit of a flexible line selection from the Barramundis. Paoli been out on O and D so far.
Australia playing in spread here. They are really making the field big. Deep space are covering the entire field at the moment. And we've got the hut gone up. Downwind. Good cover by Nick Moss, but he's not quite able to get there.
Yeah, good pressure from Moss, but a perfectly executed throw out into space and just a little pop to the front corner for the aforementioned Paoli. Inte on his shoulder, but when you're hitting into the bread basket like that with that little yard ahead, really difficult to get that block cleanly. Really well executed deep throw here. See from this near sideline, heading down with the wind. There's actually a peel off the back, it looks like there from Moss. So even with the peel off poach defender, perfect throw is a perfect throw.
Absolutely. I think the thrower did a really good job of recognizing that the left-hand side of the field, as he looked, was open to hit. And so even though there was a deep poach, there was no one able to cover the far side of the field. So creative use of space. I think kind of classic Australian ultimate to make the field as big as possible and force deep space to have to defend the whole field.
Yeah, even after a few passes there, it looked like they'd still managed to hold a really good side stack style offense, maintaining that space, opening up space on the far side of the field. And really easy for throwers, I think, when they see someone so free going deep to just put it out in front and maybe go for a goal, but executes that really well.
Absolutely. We saw in the first half of this game, poachers coming a long way off their person to affect the game, and there were a few blocks from that. Australia have recognised that, and their response has been to play bigger, which means that those poachers have to leave their person by more, and it gives the throwers more time to recognise what's going on.
Yeah, we saw that earlier on with Dennison poaching into the middle of the field, and Barramundi's getting that big gainer to the open side on the reset. As you see, deep space coming out again against that match D that we're seeing this time, as we see Layla Dennison going deep for Halkyard. And again, as we mentioned, just that little bit extra lift from the wind, just making that slightly more difficult to read for the defender. Halkyard in a good position, just push himself over to the left side of the end zone a little bit more. Dennison with the lefty shot, pretty much to perfection.
Yeah, another high-level execution and decision-making by Dennison. She's got the disc fading to the left here, which means that Halkyard can wait for it to come to him. The Australian defender makes a pretty good bid. He can't quite make it, but that decision was left to Halkyard, whether he wanted to go up for it or wait for the disc to come to him. And by getting the disc fading to a cross over the defender, makes the reception a whole lot easier.
Yeah, especially with the separation that Halkyard had, not only vertically deep, but horizontally across the field as well. Putting it across to that break side makes his life much easier. So difficult as a defender to read the disc going deep and also across the field and trying to get across like that. And more often than not, even if the defender does have a play, Halkyard has that position and he's probably being fouled if the defender is able to get there successfully. Alana Archer with a pull for deep space. Gonna want to try and put this one in if they want to stage any kind of comeback.
Yeah, deep space able to settle the ship out of half, but now's the time they're going to need to push on if they want to come back into the game, as Connor said. Good pull set to the middle of the field. Lots of downfield movement. They're able to handler on a slash cut from the far side.
Alana Archer, tons of pressure on the under, but the Barramundi is absorbing that easily so far. Really nice quick release, mid-high throw. Oh, and just a miscommunication in the end zone. Some really nice high-tempo offense from the Australians. You notice after the receiver caught that little dinky high release, mid to high release from the thrower, just threw it straight back to them, seeing that they were heading up the line. Ooh, tight options here from deep space, but well received. Thacker on the far sideline, back from her duty with the GB Women's National Squad. Back with Thacker again from Archer. Swings to Rowe. Reeled in well. Deep space, doing a great job of attacking this break side. Good set out into space for Rowe. To the end zone for Thacker. And that is a deep space break. 10-6 is or was the scoreline.
10-7 now.
10-7 now, yeah. Bring it within 3.
Big celebration from the deep sideline. That break's bringing them 3 points away from Australia, and it's been a game of runs. If deep space are able to get on a little run now, this game could get close quickly.
Yeah, but the Barramundis were able to break out of half to go 9-4, and next thing you know, 10-7 sounds like a much more tantalizing scoreline for the deep space D-line to go and get another break and bring it within 2. And as you said, those runs, people talk about momentum and whether it actually exists from a performance standpoint. My experience, if you're on an O-line and you've just been broken twice in a row, it's not the same feeling. Especially now with the Barramundis, as we mentioned earlier, standing with that wind in their face after that break. Really nice breakside movement from deep space in that previous point. Not afraid to try and break the mark-up wind. Just 2 or 3 breakside shots to find Thacker in the end zone for the break. And as we said, they're going to want to come out and put a lot of pressure on here now to bring the score within 2. See Ian Tate with the pull.
Deep pull from Tate. Australia coming out in a really deep split stack, playing into the wind. Made gains onto the backhand sideline. And back into the middle of the field. Quick turnover, deep space looking to score.
Gibson looking to move the disc quickly. Pick called in the end zone. Gibson not afraid to pick the disc up early and move it. My prediction, inside flick break to Tate at the front of the end zone.
We'll see if it comes off.
Or goes for the around instead. Tate able to chase it down. That's the deep space break, and 10-8. As you mentioned, Tom, the momentum very much in deep space's favor now.
Absolutely, pressure back on the Barramundis. How are they going to respond to this? Couple of breaks, they happen. They're comfortably up in this game. If they're able to put the next point in, they can probably ride out this and get back onto an even keel. We'll see what they're able to do here.
Yeah, I love that throw from Gibson, just trusting that Tate has got the momentum, able to put it out into space. Really easy to see that that's the open side and that there's going to be a little bit tighter pressure, but when you're putting the disc out in front like that, it's really difficult as a defender to gain those yards back and get out in front to make the interception. So we see a timeout here from who I assume is Australia.
Yeah.
Can't imagine deep space would want to call a timeout in a situation like this.
Yeah, I think so. Australia looking really calm and collected, just taking a moment to reset, I think. But no one seems too stressed out. Deep space are trying to maintain the high that they're on right now. So maybe Australia have taken this time out as well just to break deep space's momentum. We'll see how the next point plays out.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder whether the deepness of the pull there was kind of recognized by the upfield Barramundi cutters. It did seem, as you mentioned, that the split stack was very deep, had a lot of space between the handlers and the cutters, but maybe not quite able to take advantage of it as much as they'd have liked. That first big undercut from this near side, only gaining about 5 or 6 yards from where the handlers were stationed initially.
Yeah, I think the Barramundis will be pretty happy with how that pull play came off. They worked their way downfield and they didn't get a big gain off that first pass, but they got the disc moving, and I think it was really just an unfortunate drop in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Deep space able to take advantage.
Yeah, and again, another clean break. The D-lines out here showing their worth right now. Both teams, it looks like, have been doing a little bit of a mixture of offense and defense across their personnel. I think that's probably very reflective of where the game is at the moment as well. D-lines, not the point and shoot gunslingers of the past. They're now full of very smart, very, very competent throwers, and makes O-line's lives much harder and much more pressured, knowing that if you do give the disc away, it's a really tough job to get it back. I think that was Millard with the pull. Barramundis again looking like they're in this dominator set. Good pressure from deep space. Just able to take away those first couple of options. And now deep space able to move the disc upfield quickly, looking for that break opportunity.
Deep space really looking to attack the break side aggressively.
Yeah,
the Australian mark changing, which makes it a bit harder to know where that space is going to be, but also harder for the downfield defenders to know where they need to be positioned.
Yeah, Potter doing a great job of reading that one from Archer. Oh, it was a quick release from Millard to Rowe for the break. That is 10-9 Australia. It was 9-4 out of halftime.
Yeah, these games can change direction really quickly, and deep space really have taken hold of the game right now. They're still down, but they have the momentum with them. Are they going to be able to keep riding that, or Australia going to be able to stop the bleeding?
Yeah, just like that, they are one break away from taking it back to all square on the breaks and taking it back to trading. Really like what we saw from Miller there, where he's kind of in a little crouch, not really normal forehand throwing position, but still able to get that quick release forehand out when he sees Rowe completely available. Not unusual to see people kind of stop, set their normal pivot, and just try and get that out, but able to just hit that quick release out on the forehand side, not an easy skill. And when you're trying to play that high tempo, quick movement style of offense, really invaluable.
Interested to see how Australia come out in this point. They've used a mix of downfield and dominator sets, so really looking to run through different players. And what do they go for on this point?
18 minutes left of regulation. 70-minute game slots here at London Invite before the soft cap. If the game is within 1 after the goal is scored post-hooter, then the game continues to cap. If not, the game is over. So Deep Space in a position here where they could really do with that extra break if they know they want to keep that game going beyond the hooter. Thacker looking for the underblock as we see a deep shot go up. Multiple bodies underneath it, but well read by the Barramundis receiver. Bodies bearing down on them, but able to absorb the pressure and come down with the clean hold from Australia.
Really interesting this point. Australia went back to their big downfield, cutting-led offense. They're playing into the wind in this direction. You'd think that would be a little harder. They were able to make use of the bigger spaces, get a really nice deep shot out, well received in the end zone.
Yeah, it looked like that was Nick Moss sneaking in maybe for the peel on the deep shot, but doing a good job to avoid too much contact. And I think it's probably fair for Deep Space to be looking for those shots to kind of go up, and especially in this direction, doing a really good job of pressuring the unders and saying, if you want to sling it deep, please go ahead, and Barramundi is happy to oblige.
Yeah, to me, the Barramundis look like a scarier team when they're playing through their cutters. I think Deep Space are more comfortable trying to contain pressure through when they look to play through their handlers. So we'll see how the teams see this and how they're feeling it and what they look to do through the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's been, as you said, quite interesting to see the different styles that the Barramundis have been playing so far, but it makes it really difficult for a defense to be able to get into any kind of rhythm and pressure when they're able to change it up seemingly at will. As we see Itamendi receive the pull and center to Squires. Big breakside pull play from Deep Space to Naden. And there it is, that poach block that we talked about earlier on, locking in on the dump receiver, not seeing the poach. We see Pauli maybe go for a bit of a stroll, but not called. And Australia with another clean break after getting the block. Really smart upline poach block from the defender.
I think those poach blocks might be the difference between the two teams at the moment. There's been a few of them in this game. Really great read from downfield, clean block, able to come in and take the disc away before Squires was able to catch it.
Yeah, and it looked like there might have been a Deep Space receiver kind of active at the back of stack, and it was actually a peel off from another active cutter rather than going and getting involved in the space from someone who was inactive. So maybe not quite giving Squires the time and space that he needed, but fantastic block, avoids contact in the lane, well timed as we mentioned earlier on, and Australia then taking no prisoners. Another clean hold for them, and the score just like that, 10-9 to 12-9.
Yeah, really smart play. I think probably recognising that Naden's deep shot from that spot will be really tough, and so able to play really hard in the underneath space and get the block.
Yeah, Naden not afraid to hook it every now and again, but certainly not her go-to, I think it's fair to say. Prefers to dominate using her legs, as she has been with GB Women so far this year. Has moved over from fellow UK mixed team Reading in the past. So you see Squires with a zippy throw to Dennison, swinging across to Van Zyl.
Barramundi's back in their zone look again. I think this has been their best defensive look at the start of points to slow down deep space. We'll see if deep space are able to cut through, get the disc across the field was what was successful for them. That's a great throw, incisive, across the field and gaining a lot of yards.
Yeah, and Ian Tate keeping his deep receiver occupied is opening up a lot of space in the middle. See Halkyard in the middle, swinging to Van Zyl. Initially looking to continue, but decides to stick with Dennison. Lovely up line cut. Pops a little lefty out, and just a bit of miscommunication there, I think, with Sarah Halkyard. Was ready to just hit that immediate pop continuation to that sideline, and I'm not sure Halkyard was expecting it.
Just seeing a replay here of deep space breaking out of the zone. The zone did a really good job of containing the initial movement. Deep space able to break through and rode that momentum all the way to the end zone.
Yeah, I actually quite like that almost deceptive level of tempo, thinking that they're playing that slow swinging movement around the back and then attacking through the middle. So a gorgeous up line for the continuation, for the end zone, to the end zone for the Australia break once again. This Australia D-line, if they are playing as a D-line, is looking formidable on offense.
Yeah, doing a great job of keeping those lanes clear. That kind of big up line that deep space were looking for as well. Australia have been able to get poaching bodies into that space. 2 big up line throws we see here from Australia, and deep space were playing 1-on-1 in those spaces.
Yeah, the second asking a little bit of his receiver, but he was happy to oblige. That first up line on the flick side to a streaking upline cutter was executed to perfection. Very, very difficult throw. Made it look very easy from the Australian national team, of course, but don't be fooled. That was a high difficulty, really well executed throw. And that pressure that was building for deep space against the Australians maybe dissipating a little bit now.
Yeah, 13-9 the score. Australia absorbed some blows, but they've been able to come back out on top at the moment. Coming towards the end of the game, not long for deep space. They're going to have to put this one in and go on another run to get back into this game.
Yeah, and the time working against them, about 11 minutes left on the clock. Even if they want to run through their D-line, get a number of breaks, they're going to have to do so quickly if they want to stage a comeback against a currently slick-looking Australian national team. Big deep pull from Powell. He's going to roll out the back. And I can see, I think, another one of those forward-heavy poach sets, maybe?
Yeah, we'll see how this deep space line reacts to that. I think we've got match being shown right now, but I think this is a different line to what we've seen playing offense for most of the game from deep space. So giving some different players a chance to see how they can play against this Australian defense.
A good pickup from Rowe on the swing. Looks like we have a deep space D-line coming out to play this one. Duncan Rowe on discs. 2 goals, an assist and a block so far for Duncan. He's having a great game as he's going to look to try and hit Potter in the reset space. Instead opts to try and swing to Jan, and it doesn't work out. Bowley with some acrobatics for another clean break for Australia. Just a bit of miscommunication, I think, in the deep space reset space. And the Barramundis happy to take that gift. Nice clean block. I think maybe initially intended for Saville. As we see there, Powley making sure those feet are off the ground. You can see where his allegiances lie now, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, a little bit of miscommunication from deep space there. It wasn't entirely clear who they were looking for, and that allowed another poach block to come from the Australians.
And the short field turn obviously helps with that, but another clean break for the Australians. They are not giving these deep space O-lines any opportunity to get the disc back. Looking really slick. We have the Australia and GB showcase game coming live on ULTI.TV later today. Sure to be an absolute stonker based on what we've seen so far. Australia maybe not performing quite as well as they'd have liked at Windmill, ending up in the 5-6 against GB mixed as a precursor to later today, but showing that they are learning on the fly as part of this European tour. Deep space looking like they're coming out of maybe a dominator set of their own, and we just see a little miscommunication there. Van Zyl thinking that Halkyard was looking for it on that gainer. Really well executed throw, but just...
Game point now for Australia. Connor said they've been really clean on offense so far, and that is the game point.
Yeah, no exception. Once again, another clean hold for Australia. Take the win 15-9. After that little bit of a slump maybe from them at the midpoint of the second half, allowing deep space back in, they reply in emphatic fashion. And I don't remember seeing a single turnover from an Australia D-line in that second half.
Yeah, really ruthless. I think the pattern of the game, there were 2 big runs of Australia breaks in a row. They were able to kind of lever their way into a couple of points, getting their D-line runs going, and deep space weren't able to stop the bleeding quickly enough. Yeah,
when you see a 15-9 scoreline, you usually expect kind of a few points here and there, a couple of breaks here and there, and a bit of response. Instead of that, we had a 9-4 lead to 10-9, and now a 15-9 dominant performance of the second half for the Barramundis. Deep Space going to look to go away from that. They have one final game today against Reading to determine their seeding going into the semi-finals tomorrow. A round-robin format for the mixed teams here. And the Barramundis are going to be very pleased with that ahead of their final game against GB Mixed, which you can see here on ULTI.TV later today, as we see the stats from the game there. 9 breaks for the Barramundis, just 9 turns. 15-9 the final score. I've been Connor McHale, joined of course by Tom Abrams. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you for the second game of the afternoon coming very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Milan. I mean, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.